What's going on, everybody? This is Moose and Brian here from OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm your host, Moose, at CFB_Moose on Twitter is where you can find me. Alongside Brian Jester FF on Twitter, Brian's co-founder and CEO of Occupy Fantasy. Here we're going on the Week 13 edition of the $1 Million Mission, where we review Brian's 150 lineups, how he's done, what other pros did, and see if there's anything that we can learn from last week that we can apply going forward. How's it going, Brian?
What's up, Moose? Great little showdown slate last night, so I'm feeling pretty good. Classic was not too bad. There was a couple sweats on Sunday, so yeah, overall feeling pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed like it was, we talked about it all week last week. This was that good week. It seemed like everything fit into place. It seemed like everything started off pretty well. And like you said, we had a couple sweats, but nothing set in stone. So let's hop right over to it. Let's see how you did last week. So over on FanDuel, 40-50 in entries for 19-14 in winnings. Is that the right thing?
That's week 12. I did a little better this week.
Yeah, you did. Hold on. Let me get that up really quick. My computer has been just absolutely just awful everywhere this entire day. So let's see.
A mind of its own today.
Let's see if this one works. All right, so let's see if we switch. Will this work? No, it won't. I'll just read it on screen here. 40-50 in entries, 18.89 in winnings for a minus 53% ROI. Does that sound right? No.
Now you got me second guessing myself.
Yeah. So you had the same ROI as last week. I swear, we're a professional organization has done it. I don't know.
You're right. It was minus 53%. You're right. Last week.
Yep.
DraftKings is where it was a little better.
Yep, definitely. And DraftKings, so 5,100. Nope, that's also a lie. Hold on, 1 second, guys. I swear I've done this before.
This is crushing it right now, dude. This is
I know what happened. I saved. So we have in the images on OBS, it's like a weekly, and in year to date for each site, I just saved the weeklies as year to date. So if we do that looks a lot better. Let me make this a little better for you all.
I mean, it doesn't look great, but it is correct.
Yeah, the ability of what I just did was great. Not what Brian did. So 37.50 in entries for 23.40 in winnings for a minus 38% ROI.
It's one of the better weeks. It's one of the better weeks, right? Better non-spike weeks. So
yeah, definitely. And then let's hope I got this image right. How it is year to date, $104,000 in entries, which just makes
crazy,
me
right?
Sweat. Yeah. I don't think we got this till week 16 last year or something like that, over the 6K mark. A little over 63K in winnings for a minus 39% ROI. Which, I mean, the ROI is not completely terrible.
I mean, all things considered, right? It's in the range of reasonable outcomes. The actual dollar amounts are pretty frightening, and a little, honestly, a little sweat territory because if you guys were around the last couple of years, we talked about it in week 0 that I decided to increase my allocation to NFL Classic a little more this year, the actual dollar amounts, because I had done so well the last 3 seasons. So we'll see if I can turn that into a positive here. We got 5 weeks left in the regular season, so we'll see. Yeah, obviously the dollar amounts are terrible, but the UFC win and the showdown wins the last couple of weeks have certainly it's been positive overall. But looking at it through this lens, certainly not great, but again within the reasonable range of outcomes.
So I actually wanted to bring this up. I don't know if now's the right time to bring it up or never or whenever. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. This is just your GPP large field, Millie mission. We're trying to be millionaires here again. Our CSGO writer Bismo absolutely crushes early slates on afternoon slates, really good at contest selection. So have you thought about any of keeping your dollar amount the same, but spreading the allocation over early only, afternoon only? Have you thought about any of that?
I've thought about it, but I realize that I probably can't dedicate enough time, especially for 150, right? To make 150 for a slate, we've talked about, it takes me a couple hours per slate, and I don't know if I just realistically have the time to do that. However, this year I have, and these numbers aren't reported in this $1 million mission statistics. I have played more small field stuff. especially in showdown. So, and those numbers are better for sure. Because again, and the reason I added that is because it reduces the risk a little bit. I showed historically I had a decent ROI in those contests. And again, it helps ease the variance during these downward streaks in the 150 max game. So yes, I have thought about it for early in the afternoon. I've definitely thought about it. I would have to like completely fine tune my process in order to be able to do that comfortably.
Makes sense to me. I just wanted to bring it up, just something that I thought about. So, let's see. So then if we switch over, again, this is the $1 million mission. So we were talking about the DraftKings pools. We are knocked out of Survivor. I really don't care about the remaining like 30 people that is left. I hope they all lose and DraftKings botches it again and no one gets paid. That'd be great.
And we get money back.
Yes. And then if we take a look at how we done in Pick'em, the pick against the spreads, we went 3-2. Still somehow dropped because like 30% of the field went 4-0 or better, 4-1 and better.
Yeah, that was wild.
But I mean, 166, we're 1 game away from cash, 2 games away from pretty good. And I think Brian, I said we were like 5 games away from 6 figures. So I really can't complain about this at all.
No, very, very possible with 25 games left that we make up 5 games. And we've been, ever since we changed our strategy and really locked into a new approach to climbing the leaderboard, we've been 18-7 over the last 5 weeks since we changed our strategy. And again, not trying to be sample size oriented, but basically we're taking lower owned teams and we're accurately predicting which teams will be lower owned, but we're still taking what we think are sharp sides, and that's worked out really well for us. So Moose, let's get hot over these next 5 weeks to make a run at it.
Definitely. I want to take just a couple minutes. Like I know we talked about we're picking low owned teams. We picked Miami. We thought they were going to be closer to like 70-75% picked. So I think in that case, plus that was a good spot for them. We did pick them. Just in the sense that if they lost, it wouldn't be too bad. It was only 50% of the field that took them. I thought that was okay. And then, of course, we always got to pick Washington. We picked them like literally the last 7 of the 8 weeks or something like that.
And the Jets, right? So Miami was kind of the lock button running back for us because in the pool they were -2.5. Yeah. But that came on Wednesday before the Daniel Jones news. And so by the time the games rolled around on Sunday, Miami was -6, -6.5, which is just a massive difference in spread. And we thought it was a good move. And again, we thought there was a chance that the field wouldn't be completely on them. 50% still a lot for a pick 'em, but they weren't 75 or 80% like they probably should have been. Plus, we're on the bubble, and we felt that in this spot, it was good to lock that in. It's not like we were trailing by a bunch of games. If we were still in 800th or 900th place, we probably would have faded them. But given our position, I thought it was still a good move to take them.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think everyone else was pretty much straightforward. Yeah, but yeah, I was really happy with our process and what we picked. But yeah, so let's hope that we have another winning week, and that should move us up into cash territory.
Hope so. Because only less than 10% of the field cashes, by the way. So it's not like a DFS GPP where 18 to 23% cash. This is less than 10, like 8% of the field cashes. So I mean, you really have to have a successful season to even get into the cash territory, and we're slowly getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be great, and I like that it's not that top heavy payout like some DFS contests are. So if we do make a run, if we don't get first, we can still get some pretty good money.
Yeah. What is when you said because I didn't even look at the prize pool when we were 5 games away from 6 figures, what place is that in the contest?
Let me look. DraftKings takes like, I don't know why, but like it's impossible to sign in on your first try. It's like location cannot be found. It's like, like in the heart of Virginia, like nowhere near anywhere else. Let me see. All right, so I'm pulling it up here. We go to the pay table. I think that was ninth place. Tie for
okay, so top 10 is 6 figures. That's really good payouts. $1 million to first, and it's still 6 figures to top 10. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, so it's just really quick. So first place gets $1 million, second 500,000, third 400,000, fourth 300,
wow,
fifth 250, sixth 200, 7 150, 8 125, 9 100, and 10th to 75,000. Like that's very solid payouts.
Dude, that's like poker payouts. Yeah. That's very, very, very good, and can't wait to be top 10 going into the last week and we go 1-4. We'll
I
be
know,
making some
right?
hedges, I think, if that happens.
Definitely. I will just say, just last thing, and then we'll go. Uh, I love the aspect of how DraftKings has these pools contests. They have a lot of. If you're in a legal state, I think it's only in legal states. They have a bunch of free contests or like $1 contests going on every week. But there's usually some overlay, so definitely go ahead and check those out. I think that those types of contests are great, and the payouts are way better.
Yeah, it's kind of I mean, we talked about this years ago, right? It's the intersection of tournaments and sports betting, which is probably the future of sports betting. And really kind of, if you play DFS, like you're tuned into the show, you probably do. Yeah, I think it's a nice little transition. It makes a ton of sense because you can still game theory it.
Yep, absolutely. So let's go ahead and switch over to the Fantasy Labs contest dashboard. Again, this is a free resource by Fantasy Labs, fantasylabs.com. If you go over to the top here, little drop down box that says contest dashboard. Allows you to take a look at historical contests, see what other people did, see what their exposures are. Pretty awesome. Brian, I will say, like lock button running back week, it's in the title with Sony Michel. You win 100%. A lot of people win 100%, and it paid off.
I mean, we had major conviction on it, right? I felt we had a really good read. I mean, we've been in a zone with reads lately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like last night's game, the Sony Michel situation, like everything we read between the lines, because it was never completely official that Michel was going to be the lead back, get all the touches. But everything we read, everything we told you guys in the streams and in the plug and in Discord was, everything we read points to Michel getting pretty much every single carry, every single touch out of that backfield, and he did. And what was his ownership moves in the Millie Maker?
Let's see. So if we look,
It was 20, right? 21%, right?
21%.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it was nice for us because we never got official word, and that kept his ownership in check. If Saturday afternoon, Darrell Henderson downgraded to doubtful or out, Michel skyrockets to 40-50%. So this did help us in a sense, and I think I mentioned it in Discord. I went 100% exposure to Michel on FanDuel in 150, on DraftKings in 150, and on Yahoo in 150. Unfortunately, that still wasn't enough to have a positive ROI.
No, really quick. I know we talked about Yahoo. I don't know if you've actually done a Yahoo bankroll challenge recently, but how are you doing there?
Pretty poorly. I got up to like 890 a few weeks ago, which is kind of crazy to think about from zero. Yeah. I haven't had a winning slate since I'm down to $200. So I updated this past Friday. So nice. Go check out the most recent update. Talks about my plan for the final 4 weeks to try to hit the goal.
Yeah. At that point, you're just gonna have to just like play everything. But let's see. We got some comments here in the chat. What's up, .bets? What's up, Matt? David says video tutorials and lineup builder are helpful. 2x my money last week. Nice, good job on that. Johnny says, just wanted to shout you guys out here. I'm Evil Empire in the Discord. I've taken down the fadeaway in NBA and the 5K to first in NHL using the Occupy guides. These guys teach how to play. Thank you. That's awesome, Johnny.
Yeah,
really
Johnny, good work, man.
Yeah, Johnny's one of like a staple Occupy member in the Discord, in the live streams, always asking sharp questions.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't ask more from Johnny. He's crushing it. Good job.
Yeah, well done.
What's up, Matt? He says, imagine doing only 17 NHL slates, could lose all of them and not think anything of it.
True. I mean, yeah, we're talking a sample size of 17 or 18 this year. Yeah, it gets kind of rough. So yeah, I mean, it could very easily have a losing season, and you could be a plus EV player, right? Definitely possible.
Yep. Johnny says, incredibly lucky win, but the guide helped me set up a strategy, and I've been sticking to my process, and it hit. Lucky, but again, I love their guides and give a starting place for any sport. Yeah, we've talked about it before. Like your goal should be to get in those top like 0.1%, and then have the coin flips go your way. That gets you in the first to help you win that the contest. But you need a strategy to get you there in the meantime. So good job again, Johnny.
And speaking of getting in the top 0.1%, Marcus 100K in the chat says he went 100% on Michel, and he won first place in a 10-cent contest. Hell yeah, man! Nice. I mean, those 10-cent contests are not small, so you must have had a hell of a lineup. Big congrats on that.
Yeah, definitely. Those are very hard to win because usually they have like 3 or 4 times the size of the other, at least on FanDuel. Yeah, that's fantastic. So we have the thing up here. We talked about Sony Michel. His ownership wasn't what it should have been. He absolutely crushed with like 25, 24 points. Should have absolutely locked button. So, Brian, let me go ahead to your exposures. And it seemed like at start, it seemed like stacks were going to go pretty well. 3x1s, 3x0s. But it didn't actually end up that way, did it?
So the past few weeks, it's been a struggle to score fantasy points. And this week, too many players scored fantasy points because after the 1 o'clock games, I had some sweats going because I had 3x1s or 3x0s with Brady that included Gronk. But then Goddard and Kittle both just dropped 40-point bombs. I think Goddard was only 30, and kind of eliminated any 3x0 stacks. Evans had 20, and that was kind of enough. But then Jefferson went off. Some of the 4 p.m. receivers went off, and he got erased. So any game stacks outside of 2x0 stacks kind of wiped off the board. Basically, you needed Evans, Godwin, or Herbert, Mike Williams, or Herbert, Keenan Allen, and that was basically it. So from what turned into a sweat, ended up being a losing week because despite getting literally everything else right, all the running back exposures, the wide receivers, the game stacks, which is the core tenet of how we play, got overshadowed by so many players scoring well. And it's no surprise that some of the projections heavy pros did really well in DFS contests because the game stacks weren't as prominent this week as they could have been.
Yeah, I'm sorting by your leverage here. Zay Jones, he's like that guy that always somehow creeps up into our lineups despite not doing too well. He had a wide open touchdown. Derek Carr is not good, so that sucks.
Yeah, so I'm allowed to complain a little bit here too. If Zay Jones catches one of those 3 deep passes, I win the Fantasy Football World Championship ticket qualifier, which is worth $65K or whatever. So, yeah. So even despite the game stacks not doing well, almost brought it home with that.
Yeah. Dot Bet says I had too much Mitchell, which got me away from using Kittle because I didn't want both of them in the same lineup. Had some, but damn, I wish I could have had more.
Yeah, and this is a good point too. In regards to teammates, I've been opening up my lineups. I've been doing this for the last couple of years, but there are certain situations where, because most of the time outside of a game stack, I'll allow a max of 1 player from the same team per lineup. So in this example, in a very strict rule setting, it would be max 149 or outside of game stacks, which means you would never get Mitchell and Kittle in the same lineup unless you game stacked. However, the 2 scenarios where I do allow 2 players from the same team are teams with high team totals, so like 28 points or more, ideally 30 points or more. So this past week, I allowed 2 Bucks in the same lineup outside of game stacks. I allowed 2 Rams, especially with the Sony Michel lock button. I had to allow to get some Cooper Kupp exposure. And the other situation is when you have an injury to a star player like Debo, that opens up more usage on other players on the team. So I think it could have made sense. I actually didn't do it, but in hindsight, it would have made sense to open it up to 2 49ers because Debo's usage is out the window. Now, technically, Kittle and Eli Mitchell are underpriced. They could both be in the same lineup, hit ceiling games, and not cannibalize each other. So I'm with you, Dot Bets. I didn't have nearly enough. I think I had 10 or 14% of Kittle. Yeah, obviously, wish I had more.
Yeah, it's funny because my biggest lineup, I think I was 15 points away or something from getting some serious money over on FanDuel, and that had Kittle in it as well. I actually in my lineups, I had a lot of Kittle, but I didn't actually open up. I didn't open up to more than 1 player. So I think I only set more than 1 player outside of game stack for the Rams because of Sony Michel. But it's an interesting point you raised up. I never really thought about that before, being very particular on that. And the lineup builder that we have is great for that. It allows you literally just to do an exception for specific teams. We can have more than 1 player. You can specify the max. So I'm definitely going to start using that some more. The other players that you had was a part of that Washington game stack, which wasn't that good.
Trash.
And again, you had the Rams, a couple Bengals. I was surprised by the Bengals game. I thought this might be the fan in me, but I felt like the Bengals stack was going to pop off a little bit more. They were one of the top written stacks in the plug. Just didn't seem to pan out, but the other side did.
I mean, it worked out. The first quarter was great, right? I thought we were, watching. I was like, damn, we're well on our way to a fantastic game stack here. Then Jamar Chase drops a 70-yard touchdown that turns into an interception somehow. Chargers get a pick 6, which takes their offense completely out of the game. that game stack went downhill really quickly. So,
Yeah.
and then you add in the fact that the Tampa Bay side of that game stack didn't do much in the second half. It was just all Godwin receptions, which helped the 2-0 stack. So, yeah, the game stacks fizzled out in the second half, and the Washington game never even got started.
Exactly. Question here from John says, overall, do you like the way you are playing? Have you questioned your process yet, or feel it's still strong, just wrong side of variance?
Really good question. I do like the way I'm playing. I question my process every week, right? That's part of that is part of the process. Questioning what you're doing, making sure things are still right. I've personally the past month or two, I've really been focusing on trying to kind of trimming out the fat post build, which means my 150 lines are spit out, my exposures look good, but let's still go through the 150 and make sure things make sense. This adds another, maybe hour, maybe 2 hours to the process. But it really, especially once you're losing, right? You want to make sure you don't leave anything out to try to get that win. So I've been doing that, and actually, that my UFC win was a big part of that process where I was I've been, in the past month, I've been completely focused on maximizing good uniques. And I've told you, Moose, because you run the uniques for me for the past month. I've told you right before you run them, I said I got pretty conservative as far as salary and ownership. And I've still popped off as the top unique getter in UFC over literally the past 3 slates. So to me, that goes to show that work I've been putting in of getting even better uniques than I already had, and it paid off handsomely. So if I can continue and carry that over to NFL, I think the results are going to follow.
Yeah, just because really quick, you talk about there's good uniques and there's bad uniques. You can only create so many good unique lineups before they're just bad. Like you can play every underdog and leave $15,000 salary in
Yeah.
UFC. It's not going to hit, but you'll be unique.
Right.
Yeah, so it's definitely a fine line there. Looking at your top lineup here, across your 150, you're not good because you didn't get 100% uniques in classic. So I'm gonna dog you on that.
Wait, that really happened? I didn't
Yeah.
even notice that till just now. That's terrifying.
Dude,
I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
bad. That's actually bad. Well, let's go through that here in a second. See which ones were
Yeah.
not unique.
But yeah, so you had 7 in the top 1%, which I think is probably pretty good. Anything, what is that? Almost 5% of your lineups basically needed coin flips to an extent.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, that goes to show how much I nailed the player pool. It's just that
Yeah.
to get into that top 0.1%, the game stacks got overshadowed. So I think overall you're right, Moose. Now you got me tilted about these uniques.
Yeah, the only thing that sucked about this top lineup, you had Brex Burkhead with only 5.5 points.
Ugh,
Rip.
I know. So if that lineup had like Antonio Gibson and downgrade the defense, now we get into the top 0.1%. So definitely flipping some coins here, but yeah. Now I'm completely shook by the uniques.
All right, so let's see if we can find this unique. Let's see if we can find it. Let's
Dude,
see.
that's wild. What the fuck? I imagine it must have been clearly I didn't trim too much fat or trim enough fat if I got duplicated.
While I'm scrolling here, Brian, is there anyone in the any questions in the chat?
No, just while you're scrolling here, .bet says he wrote out all 20 of his lineups this week and took a buttload of time, but it made a huge difference. And it really does, right? The optimizer lineup builders can only get you so far. I mean, you have to create really smart rules, and then even then you have to double check to make sure shit makes sense. So, all right, let's see. 3 users had this lineup. All right, let's see. Why haven't 3 users have this lineup? I feel like I might have just gotten unlucky here.
Yeah, I think that one was just unlucky. That's really strange because getting duped with two players less than 10%, that's tough. And a 3x1 stack.
That's a pretty chalky lineup overall with 24%, 28%,
Yeah.
28%, 20%. So I understand it's pretty chalky, and maybe I need to do a better job there. But
Let's see. And let's see if we can find the other two over here.
Matt S says, "What's the easiest way to find your unique number?" So for the mainstream sports, Fantasy Labs contest dashboard, which you see on screen here, does it. So golf is an important one. NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB. You can check for like the main GPPs. For smaller GPPs, you just got to do it yourself. For me, for like for League of Legends, for UFC, Moose and Bismo, one of our writers, has scripts You need some sort of data analysis to be able to do it.
Yeah.
7. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it looks like so far the two lineups that were duplicated by you were Raiders stacks. Do you think were Raiders popular at all last week in the industry? I don't remember.
Yeah,
seeing that.
they got kind of steamed towards the end of the week. They were becoming pretty popular. And you see here only one player below 10%. This is yeah, that's pretty bad if we're being honest here. So
And then
that's way too
let's see if we
chalky.
can find your last one.
Yeah, that was pretty
And
bad.
I don't know what this says, but the fact that your duplicated lineups didn't cash, I don't know what that means.
I mean, yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense for GPPs, right? Like you don't
All right,
want
here's the last
same
one.
as-
Yep. You and Cheese is good.
Oh, well, at least I got a sharp player duping me, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, this had 3 players below 6%, so I don't know. That's kind of weird. Although I will say, it seems like a lot of sharp, and I want to go to the 555 to show that leaderboard because it's fucking jam packed with pros. But a lot of the pros were on the same plays this week, so it kind of makes sense that it happened. But still, that's pretty weird in classic.
Definitely. So you want to hop over to the 555 one now?
Yeah, because
the 555 or the 4K?
No, let's go to the 555 just because Whistles won that. And for those who've watched our show, we talked about Whistles before as being probably, I would argue, the best DFS player right now, hands down. Won his 3rd milli this past week. So he won the Fantasy Football World Championship on DraftKings last year. Became famous to the DFS world with his Whistles Go Woo interview. He won the baseball milli earlier this summer, and then won the 555 milli for his 3rd milli in the past 12 months. RBX 88 style. So big ups to Whistles, fantastic player. We can do a lot by studying his name. But look at this. We got Osimo, Chipotle, TJ, Redcoat, Mock Love. Like we got literally all the pros were topping the leaderboard. So I'm curious to see what they did with Michelle and running back exposures in general.
Yep. Really quick, Dot says, how much Taylor did you have?
It was tough to get a lot. I think FanDuel I ended up with 16%, and on DraftKings like 12%. It was just hard to get that much more. So
yeah,
as long as I got 10% or more, I was okay with it.
Cool. John says, folks in the industry kept saying you could use Foster Moreau, even though he'd be chalk if you stacked him. So it was pretty cheap stack people were using.
Makes Clearly sense. Not the case because I guess everyone had the same idea, right? So yeah, something I need to be aware of in the future.
So if we look at this, we have the new QB1, who's actually good, Gardner Minshew, which is good. Running back with Goddard, the old 2x, is that a 2x? Yeah, 2x0 stack that won it.
Yeah, 2x0's crushed this week.
Yeah, and then had the Sonny Michel Cooper Cup mini stack. That's great. Crazy to me, he had Amon-Ra St. Brown, only 0.9%. I'm guessing he was the only person that had it.
That was a ridiculous play. I mean, I don't think anyone considered playing St. Brown in recent weeks. So I mean, that's a crazy play. It's amazing that worked out.
Definitely, yeah. If we look at, I guess this Porco is how you would say it. Minshew, Michelle, Gibson, Jefferson, Godwin, Kittle, James Conner, like just a stack.
This guy just had every ceiling play in there, all high ownership outside of Kittle. The old quarterback defense stack.
Yes. Osimo, Herbert had Michelle, Godwin, Renfro, Kittle, Elijah Mitchell.
And you'll see here, so going back to DotBet's point or question about 2 players from the same team, we saw Whistles in first place with 2 Rams, high team total. And now we see Osimo with 2 49ers who benefit from Debo being out. So, just 2 immediate examples of that being put into action.
Yep. I'm just going to go to the top 5 here. Chipotle had one off Tom Brady. No, had him with Godwin. Then had the mini stack with James Conner, David Montgomery. Pretty solid lineup there. C-Hatch is how I would think you would say it. Gardner Minshew, Miles Sanders stack.
Interesting.
Be interesting. But he also had the 2 Madison and Justin Jefferson. So
there's another one. I guess they could qualify, right? Their team total was like 27, right on the border there. But again, two high volume guys.
Yep, definitely. So let's go back over to the $20 one. take a look at the leaderboard over there. We always do like to give a shout out up over there. Once we do this, Brian, I do want to go back over to the 150. I just want to see some of the exposures of what some of the 150 maxers did for Sonny Michel.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, K-Land 304. I hope K-Land refers to real estate in the metaverse, but that might be for a different stream. So, had Minshew, Goddard. So, just had a 2x0 stack. Sonny Michel, of course. Sonny Michel at 4,325 points is going to be in first place lineup no matter what.
Yep.
Jamal Williams, Justin Jefferson, the old wide receiver running back mini stack.
Yep.
Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, Kittle, and then ran it back with Rams defense.
Yeah, I mean, so this kind of falls into Johnny's question. Whistles had Kittle in the flex. This winner had Kittle. Should have been the flex, which goes to show how casual of a lineup this was. If Kittle was in the late game, was in the tight end spot, not the flex spot. So I will say, so Kittle was just 5,900, and really, it would only make sense to flex a tight end if they can operate as their team's wide receiver one. And I think you could probably argue that, obviously, for guys like Waller and Kelsey, but Kittle without Debo, while he hasn't shown it, I still think has that ceiling. So it makes sense. I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, you still need 70 points from your tight ends to get there, and this happened. So, yeah, I don't know. I still probably wouldn't do it. We see it every week that generally it's negative leverage. But if there's an explanation for it, I think that's what it is.
So I would actually like to see, and I guess by me asking this question, it means that I'm going to have to do the data this week and come back to you on Saturday for it.
Yeah, don't give yourself more work, Moose.
No, I would love to see tight end flex leverage for those type of tight ends you just specified. So someone like Mark Andrews, George Kittle in this situation, Waller in some instances, where that instead of playing, I don't know, TJ Hawkinson in the flex, like there has to be a cutoff between good tight ends that act like wide receivers and traditional, more standard tight ends.
Absolutely. I think that's, and if you can separate that, there probably is a little bit of a difference there in the leverage.
Yeah, I don't think my Excel skills are that good. No. But yeah, so if we hop back over to like we always talk about the duplicates, top duplicated lineup had
one of mine probably.
Makes sense. Had Sonny Michel, Cooper Kupp, Antonio Gibson. Like,
yeah.
Wow, this lineup lineup's actually good.
Yeah, it scored a ton of points, right?
Yeah, pretty solid.
Well, that definitely cashed pretty highly, right?
yeah, definitely 148 users. And if we take a look at reports here, again, user salary, it's probably beneficial. And then, yeah, tight end and flex, still 16.5% is really high, even though 21% of tight end and flex made it. But we see a bunch of running backs, and because probably Michel, Gibson, et al. Were really good cheap value plays that you could jam into your running back spot in flex.
And we talked about it on Saturday, right? Like we said, if you have, this is a rare week where you want to flex running backs because of Michel and some of those other guys, and fortunately the results did bear that out.
Yep, absolutely. And so if we go back to let's see, will the leaderboard work? Oh no, please don't crash.
Yeah, I do want to see just what different pros did with Sonny Michel.
Yep. So if we go back to exposures, sweet. And if we go by rosters.
Yeah, and so I think we just look at what some of these top guys did. So let's search Whistle, see what he did.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see Whistles. So he had 75% Jamal Williams, 70% Cooper Kupp, 50% Matthew Stafford. So he went super heavy on these Ram stacks.
Yeah, he did.
He had 50% Sonny Michel.
So this is interesting because he probably had less Michel because he went heavy. I guess it's a pretty sick strategy. Was if Michel fails, it's probably not because he didn't get the volume, because he was going to get that. It's probably because the touchdown variance went in favor of the passing game, which is why he had 50% Stafford stack. So I see that approach there. But you see that he still used 50% Michel even with that in other half of his lineups.
Exactly. Yep. I guess we can look at Osmo. Next person. Hey, Osmo didn't have 150 uniques either. Nice. So you're good enough with him.
Sick.
He had 50% Michelle as well. He also
Okay.
had 41% Kittle, which helps.
I'm wondering if the pros weren't as sure about Michelle as we were. It kind of seems that way. What about trying to think who else
I was
did
going to
really
look up
well.
Oxen Duck.
Yeah,
Was
let's see what
projection
Oxenduck
heavy.
did.
He had 61% Michelle.
Okay. That's still, I mean, he had 50, of course, his projections ass had 55% Moreau.
I know, right?
Look up Ricky D, Rikki. We talked about him before. Let's see what he did.
Let's see.
Let's just run through a few names here, see what they did.
So he had 98% Michelle. There
Okay.
we go. Come to the
Shout out
dark
Ricky
side,
D.
Ricky.
Yes. Let's do Mock Love and Utica. Let's see what they did.
All right, so McLovin, 100% Michelle.
Attaboy.
There
He's
we
not
go.
the #1 NFL DFS player for nothing.
Yep, 55% Cooper Cup as well.
Damn.
Nice. Who's the other one you said?
Utica. Then we'll check the Chipotle Bros. YOU.
Yeah. I'm trying. There we go. 65% Michelle. 45% Foster Moreau.
Took the old oxen duck approach there. Check Papa Gates and Chipotle.
Yep.
While you're checking that, Moose, Johnny says, wasn't there panic when Henderson was announced as active? Perhaps some of these pros lowered exposure via late swapping after. I think maybe they did. We weren't again. I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back here, but we were convinced that Henderson would not matter, even with the news, because they only had 2 running backs on the roster. He could very easily be active and just be, in air quotes, active. So it's very possible that many people were scared a little bit by it.
Cause didn't oh god, I can't remember her name, and I might butcher it. What was it? The beat writer. What's her name?
Oh no, it was wasn't Jay Glazer who said it, right?
No. Who's the athletic writer for the Rams?
Oh, Jordan Rodriguez.
Yeah, she said that he was basically gonna be. She said he was gonna basically be emergency, right? Am I right on that?
On Friday, she was talking about that. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Chipotle Addict had only 28.7% of Michelle, which I thought was pretty strange.
Interesting. All right.
And Papa Gates. Let's see what he did.
Matt in the chat is asking, did Laz match the field? We gotta check.
Oh yes. Where is he at? Also, hit 80%, basically 80% Lamar Jackson, Marquise Brown.
Not gonna make it.
Sonny Michelle, where are you?
Just sort by field exposure and see.
No, just sort he had 52%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still pretty good. Let's see what our boy Laz did.
Yep.
By the way, I made a joke. Maybe it was our Snapchat about Whistles employing the Laz gets fit quarterback approach in the 5-5-5. He had like 20 quarterbacks in his 5-5-5 lineups, which I don't think is I know it's not optimal, but he has 3 milli. So what can I say?
So really quick, I don't know if the Fantasy Labs contest dashboard is wrong or somehow Laz gets fits only had 34 uniques out of 150 lineups. Sus much?
Yeah, that could be wrong, or it could be very bad lineup by Laz. But go to his quarterbacks. I just want to see how many he had.
So quarterbacks, you already know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 quarterbacks. It's not too bad.
That's a pretty conservative week for Laz.
Somehow 25% Gardner Minshew. Absolutely.
Laz too sharp.
And then for running backs, he had 32% Michelle.
Well, you can't play 100% if you get every running back, so.
I know, right?
Cool. All right. So I think the key takeaway here is that it wasn't fully known about Michelle. Obviously, we had conviction. I guess we could have been wrong, right? There's very possible Henderson's quad was better than they were letting on, and we could have been wrong about that. I still think we just had a fantastic read, and we had the experience. We've seen these situations before. We know how it plays out, but I could see how other pros wouldn't lock button him in because of the uncertainty. But again, I think that was to our advantage if we played Michelle. So shout out to everyone who did follow us and played him.
So let me present like a game theory question to you for this, right? Let's say we were wrong somehow. Michelle sucks and doesn't get the volume that we expected him to get. at 50%, like you're still pretty much blowing dead at that point. Like if 50% of the lineups are dead, it's kind of hard to recover from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So what I'm saying is, in the sense that if you have an up in the air question in a huge, large field GPP that's top heavy that you need to win, like, why not go 100%? Because if it fails, unless if you're under the field, which you definitely shouldn't be under the field on the show,
Right.
like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%, all is going to pretty much doom you. Like if he
Exactly.
sucks. So why not just go that 100%? So if he gets the 10 points he needs to get you in the first, then you're looking fantastic.
Absolutely. So that's a really interesting, and we'll get out of here after this. It's a really interesting question because you feel like it feels safer not to put him in 100%, right? But unless this GPP is for your life, right, and you have to cash or you get killed, right? Like this is
That was
just this is a small slate in the sample of a bunch of slates that you're going to play over the course of a year, over the course of your career, and you have to take those stands. And sure, can you go 40, 50% and that person fails? Like for my recent UFC win, I had like 40% of a plus 200 underdog, who I was very confident in. But if he lost, right, that's 40% of my lineups down the drain. Can I get lucky with the remaining 60%? Sure, but that's really not what I was aiming for. So, yeah, it can happen, but you're really not playing for the safety in GPPs. You're playing for, and you have to maximize edges when you think you have them,
yeah,
and a
that's the
lot of
biggest
money
thing,
messing
man.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that when you said this is cash GPP or you get killed, that would be a terrible Squid Game thing. It's like the next game is you have to at least min cash the DraftKings Millionaire Maker with one lineup.
Oh man, that the main character definitely would not have been cashed.
Oh no, he's absolutely 607.
Like he wouldn't have been cashed. He might have won the thing. He had GPP mentality for sure.
Definitely. So, any last thoughts, Brian, before I take us out of here?
No, just an interesting week. Pros crushed. If you didn't win, I say don't be discouraged because we were. If you listen to us, we were all over everything. Game stacks didn't fully get there. I imagine a lot of people did really well though if they followed our approach. And we've talked about this before. I lessened my game stacks. I played 2x1s, 2x0s in smaller fields, and that's how I almost got the FFWC ticket. And you don't need to up the risk in smaller contests. So if you played those smaller contests and followed that approach, you probably did really well last week. And we got like a month left in the year, 6 weeks left in the regular season. We gotta get a spike week here to get that back in the black.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be fantastic. You and me both, brother. So until next time, just to show, the model will be up probably late tomorrow night. We have the Thursday game. Daily Plug will be out. Daily Plug will be up on Friday night, Saturday morning for the main slate. I don't know how college football DFS is going to work, but stay tuned in the Discord for that. Brian and I will be live again Saturday, and then Chris will be live on Sunday talking NFL. But until all then, next time, Moose and Brian from Occupy Fantasy. Have a good one.